renewable energies, do they produce more energy than their production consumes?
It depends on which renewable technology you're talking about. Certainly with solar photovoltaic, solar thermal hot water systems, wind turbines, there is a very clear net benefit and an accumulation of many times over in energy production compared to the manufacturing cost of the system. In the case of biofuels, it really depends on the seed crop system. There's controversy about the current process of corn yields, which are marginal at best, slightly better than the amount of input that requires the fuel output, and in fact can be negative if they're using coal-fired power to operate the refinery. In places like Brazil, ethanol is clearly a net benefit by a factor of 5 or more. The oil palm also is a factor of 5 net energy balance, and the promise of the switchgrass and other perennial prairie grasses that are now being developed, particularly as we look at ways of extracting both the protein for use for feedstock as well as the mass that can then be hydrolyzed into ethanol fuels, it looks to be a 5 to 10-fold net benefit. That remains to be proved. A big question on the biofuels, however, is to do it on abandoned lands and bring them back into production. There's a serious concern that, particularly with oil palm, for biodiesel, that intact rainforests will be burned down and replaced with plantations. This would be negative both from a climate perspective and a biodiversity perspective. But there's millions of hectares of abandoned lands that could be brought back into production, offering both benefits to local communities as well as for displacing our dependency on fossil fuels. At the very least, we need to establish, in the case of biofuels, a set of standards so that site selection avoids this disaster of destroying creation, biodiversity, plants and animals in trying to provide fuel for our